118,000 euros. $15.6 million. $500 million. $1.2 billion. 4 rounds, 4 countries, 1 company, and the German money was first in and last to own anything. This is the 4 addresses test, and once you have it, you cannot unsee it. I'm Joe Menninger in Frankfurt am Main, and this is Startuprad.io, the English language authority on the startup ecosystem in Germany, Austria and Switzerland. On the 4th of August, a company called HappyRobot announced a $150 million Series C investment at $1.2 billion post-money valuation. 3 days later, on the 7th of August, the Technical University of Munich, part called Unternehmertum, announced that HappyRobot was its 23rd unicorn. Both of these statements are true. Neither of them is the story. If you work inside a European ecosystem organization, or you're raising money in one, stay with me. Before the end of this episode, I'm going to hand you a test you can apply to your own company. It takes about 90 seconds and it will tell you something uncomfortable. 3 facts to set this up, all of them from primary documents. 1. On the 4th of August 2026, HappyRobot announced a $150 million Series C at $1.2 billion post-money valuation, led by Prism Capital, co-led by Euroseo. That valuation is company confirmed and explicitly stated as post-money. It is not a media estimate. 2. 3 days later, Unternehmertum, they published a press release with the headline, HappyRobot is Toom's 23rd unicorn. 3. HappyRobot's own funding announcement, the BusinessWire release, and the post on the company's own blog does not mention Unternehmertum or Munich or Toom or Garching or Germany. Not once. Here is the argument. Europe's scale-up gap is not primarily a capital gap. It is not primarily a demand gap. It is a formation capture gap. European institutions reliably fund and house the moment a company comes into existence and then have no claim whatsoever on the compounding that follows. And because unicorn lists record exactly 1 address per company, that loss is invisible, not hidden, invisible by construction. HappyRobot is the cleanest document case I've seen here. Quick note on where this sits in the argument we've been running over time. In April, we said Europe's gap is structural, not cultural. In June, in demand without deployment, we said Europe struggles to buy from its own startups. And in July, we said the failure is between breakthrough and scale, not at the science. And on the 4th of August, the same day actually HappyRobot announced this round, we published a piece called The European Scale-Up Question. The question got answered the same day we asked it. We just didn't notice for 2 weeks. 1 correction on the record. In 2022, we published an episode titled Unternehmertum helps entrepreneurs to start world-class companies. We ran that framing on the institution's own account. Researching this episode, I went looking for documentation of Unternehmertum's role in HappyRobot specifically, and I found 1 clause at the Unternehmertum press release. I found no Unternehmertum authored document naming HappyRobot at all. That doesn't retract the 2022 episode, but our evidence standard is higher now than it has been then, and I'd rather say that than let you find it. Now, before I go further, I want to give the strongest case against my own thesis, properly, not a straw man. The case against me goes like this. Provenance is a sentimental bookkeeping, and measuring it makes Europe's problem worse. What did Germany actually give this company? A stipend of roughly 118,000 euros, desk space in Garching, and 2 young engineers who had, on most accounts, already met each other in Madrid. What created the 1.2 billion? None of that. It was likely Y Combinator, because the pivot happened inside the Y Combinator badge. They applied with a computer vision product and abandoned it midway through. That's not my interpretation. The founder says it himself, and in a podcast episode literally titled First Time Founder Completely Pivots After YC. It was Andreessen Horowitz at Series A, a base 10 partner at Series B, 150 enterprise customers, mostly anchored in the United States. It was, sorry for butchering the name, Javier Palafox's logistics network, built over 9 years at a Spanish consumer goods group, largely out of Dallas, Texas. Strip all of that out and you have a promising, unfunded computer vision team in Garching. And here's the sharp end of the objection. Counting provenance is exactly how Europe avoids confronting the gap. If Tomb books HappyRobot as a unicorn 23 and Startuprad.io books it at ecosystem prominence strong, then Munich gets to feel like a unicorn factory, while the equity, the tax base, the senior jobs, and all of the computing sits in San Francisco. And provenance column is a consolation prize with a spreadsheet attached. The honest response says this argument is to say plainly, Germany lost this one and stop counting. This is a serious argument, and I think it is right about almost everything. It is wrong about one thing, and it defeats itself on it. I want to say Germany lost this one, but I cannot say how much was lost, because the instruments it's defending, the single address unicorn list, has no field in which to record the loss. Tomb's list can only count up. Our own atlas can only count, include, and exclude. Both of these are a 1-bit instrument, and 1 bit cannot express formed here, owned here. So the alternative to sentimental bookkeeping isn't silence, it's honest bookkeeping, which is what I'm going to give you in my 20 minutes. Let's talk about what a company actually is. So, what is this company? HappyRobot sells AI agents that do enterprise operations work, like voice calls, emails, text messages, and chat. It started with freight brokers, carrier sales calls, check calls, collecting proof of delivery, negotiating rates, booking appointments. It has since expanded into logistics, utilities, insurance, telecom, and recruiting. More than 150 enterprise customers. Named customers include, for example, DHL Supply Chain, Kühne and Nagel, Uber, Naturgy, and Repsol. Now the corporate facts, because they matter more than you usually hear. The legal entity is HappyRobots Inc. It is a Delaware corporation incorporated on the 13th of May 2023, California entity number 5743817, principal address 3rd Street, San Francisco. No German entity, no German office, and no German-based employees were located in the public records of the 20th of August 2026. Reuters reported in September 2025 that staff were, quote, mostly based in San Francisco and Madrid. Now, hold that date. Delaware, May 2023. Because in January 2023, 5 months earlier, there's a document from Tomb School of Management. It's a project study listing looking for student interns and says HappyRobots maintains an office and incubator space located in Garching and wants interns there several days a week. It is also describing what they were building, not AI agents, quote, a no-code computer vision platform for instant model generation. So the company existed and worked in Garching for some time, like 9 months before it legally existed anywhere. And it's not an accident, it's a rule. Unternehmertum's own incubator page says, admissions require at least one TUM-affiliated founder and, quote, admissions is only possible in the pre-seed phase before establishing the spin-off. The TUM incubator is, by design, a place for companies that do not yet exist, which is the single most interesting thing about this whole story, and I'll come back to it. One more thing we do not know, and I want to be explicit about. There's no absolute revenue figure for this company, none. HappyRobot told Fortune that revenue has grown more than 5-fold since Series B, and that net dollar retention exceeds 150%. Neither figure is independently audited, and no absolute revenue figure has been disclosed. There's also no price page. It returns a 404. So if you see a number for HappyRobot's ARR, somebody made it up. The capital sequence. Now, the part I actually want you to remember, the capital sequence. Around July 2022, an exists startup grant through TUM. TUM states this. The room logs about 118,000 euros, and that's a database figure, treated as an approximation. German federal money, first money in April 2023, pre-seed Array Ventures American. Summer 2023, Y Combinator. Summer 2023 batch, American. 4th of December 2024, a Series A, $15.6 million, led by Andreessen Horowitz, American. 3rd of September 2025, Series B, $44 million, led by Base 10 Partners, American. Reuters reported a valuation of about $500 million, citing a source familiar with the deal. The company has not confirmed the Series B valuation. And that Series B is where Wave X comes in, the corporate venture arm of Walter Group in Vienna, Austrian money, at roughly 500 million. 4th of August 2026, Series C, $150 million, Prism Capital leading, Eurosea co-leading, and that cap table, T.Capital, Deutsche Telekom's investment arm, German corporate money, at $1.2 billion. Why structurally? Read the sequence back as one sentence. German public money at 118,000 euros, American venture capital at $15.6 million, Austrian corporate capital at around 500 million, German corporate capital at about 1.2 billion. Germany was there at the beginning. Germany was there at the end. Germany was absent for the entire middle, which is the only part where ownership gets set. That is the European scale-up gap. In one cap table with no inference required. Who benefits, who loses. Andreessen Horowitz benefits. They wrote the December 2024 check at 15.6 million, and they are marked up roughly 80 times on paper by August 2026. Deutsche Telekom gets exposure at 1.2 billion. A German fund that only sees this company at Series C is not competing with Andreessen Horowitz. It is buying from Andreessen Horowitz. In Germany, the country supplied the founders the grant and the room and now buys the product back. Because here's the other side of the ledger. On the 12th of November 2025, DHL Group issued its own press release, not a HappyRobot's press release, DHL's, announcing that DHL supply chain has deployed HappyRobot's AI agent across hundreds of thousands of emails and millions of voice minutes a year. Kühner Nagel runs the agent in 5 languages. German is one of them. LKW Walter in Austria has 5 to 10 live use cases. Germany formed the company, and Germany is now a customer of the company. What changes next? Nothing, unless somebody measures it. What people are getting wrong. Everybody read this as a story about a vertical AI. It's a story about capital timing. And if I were an investor, I would take one thing from this. The TUM incubator's own admission rule precede before the spin-off exists means it's a public, dated, legible list of companies at exactly the stage where European capital is not present. That is a deal flow asset sitting in the open. Almost nobody treats it as one. After the break, I went looking for a list of TUM's 23 unicorns. I want to tell you exactly what I found and what I did not find, because it isn't what I expected and it changes what the number means. $23 unicorns. That's a real big number. TUM is, by any measure, Europe's most successful entrepreneurial university. I want to be very clear about my starting point. I expect to verify the number and move on. Here's what TUM's own press release documents. Unicorn number 1, Celonis, August 2018. We published a full Unicorn Atlas edition on Celonis 3 years ago, so I'll put it here. Number 2, Lilium. Number 3, Personio, January 2021. Then nothing. The next original TUM published is number 21, EGIM, October 2024. Number 22, ESA Aerospace, June 2025. Number 23, HappyRobot, August 2026. 17 slots between number 3 and number 21. No naming press releases located for any of them. And here's the careful sentence, because I want to be precise rather than dramatic. No enumerated public list of the 23 companies was located across TUM's press releases, Startup Wall, entrepreneurship pages, TUM Venture Labs, Unternehmer TUM, as of the 20th of August 2026, and no TUM naming release was located for the ordinals between 3rd and 21st. And no TUM naming release was located for the ordinals between 3rd and 21st. That is a statement about what I could find. It is not a statement that the list doesn't exist. If TUM publishes it, I will publish it, and I will say so. Now, second thing. Unicorn number 2 is Lilium. Lilium ceased operations, unfortunately, in February 2025, insolvent. Its patents were sold to Archer in October 2025. 4 months after Lilium stopped, TUM announced ESA Aerospace as number 2022. The count did not go down. It has never gone down. And the third thing, Dealroom, using an alumni founder measure, attributes 52 unicorns to TU Munich. TU Munich meaning the Technical University of Munich, against TUM's own claims of 23. Now, that gap is interesting and not in the direction you'd expect. TUM's number is lower than the databases, which means TUM is applying a filter, a real one, which they have simply never described. What does 23 mean? It means cultivate, never decremented, no published inclusion test, no denominator, and no delisting rule. It mixes German and foreign headquarters. It mixes currently private unicorns with companies that have gone public, merged, or gone insolvent. And I want to say this next part clearly, because it would be easy to turn this into a TUM story, and it's not one. TUM is not lying. Every claim in their press release about HappyRobot appears to be accurate. They say the team got an Exist startup grant in 2022 and was accepted into the TUM incubator. There's an independent document from January 2023 putting the company in gashing. It checks out. The problem isn't honesty. The problem is that 23 is an unfalsifiable number, and every institutional unicorn count in Europe is building the same way. Universities, state agencies, regional clusters, national associations, they all count up. They all count alumni, and none of them publishes a denominator. I've asked TUM for a list. Admittedly, I sent out the email on a Friday afternoon, so I don't expect to hear back before the publication of this episode. But if they send it, the list, that's an episode. If they don't, that's also an episode. And one thing I will not say. I will not tell you that Unternehmertum created or built or incubated HappyRobots. The entire evidentiary basis for an Unternehmertum role is one clause in TUM's own press release. What I can tell you is this: HappyRobot is listed as a team of TUM Venture Labs, and TUM Venture Labs describes itself in its own words as a joint initiative of TUM and Unternehmertum. That's a defensible sentence. Anything stronger, somebody made up. The other side of the ledger. There's a German trade publication called Startbase, and when they covered this round, they used exactly the right word, and I don't think they get enough credit for it. The headline was HappyRobot wird Unicorn mit deutscher Beteiligung, meaning HappyRobot becomes a unicorn with the German participation. Not a German unicorn, participation. That is the most accurate 4 words anybody wrote about this company in August. And they're in language most of the coverage doesn't even reach. The 4 address test. Alright, here's the test. This is the thing to take away. Every scale company has 4 addresses. Unicorn lists report 1 and imply the other 3. Address 1. The formation address, where the team and the company were formed before incorporation. Address 2, incorporation address, where the legal entity was created. Address 3, the operating address, where the work, the payroll, and the customers actually are. Address 4, claiming address. Who counts it in their tally? The rule is this: when all 4 differ, a list that reports 1 address is not measuring an ecosystem. It is measuring whichever address flatters the counter. HappyRobot. Formation address, Garching, Germany. Incorporation address, Delaware. Operating address, San Francisco and Madrid. Claiming address here, Munich. 4 addresses, 1 company. And the distance between addresses 1 and address 3. That's the whole loss. Explicit. Per company, on the record. Now go and do it for your own company, or your portfolio, or your ecosystem's unicorn list. 90 seconds. I'll wait. Just imagine the Jeopardy music playing here. 3 predictions on the record, with confidence level, so you can hold me to them. 1. TUM will announce a unicorn number 24 before it publishes an enumerated methodology disclosed list of the 23. Confidence high, about 75%. Results end of 2027. Prediction number 2. HappyRobots will not establish a German legal entity or German office before its next primary priced round. Confidence moderate, about 60%. Resolves end of 2027. Prediction number 3. At least 1 further institution in Germany, Austria, or Switzerland, a university, a state agency, a regional cluster, will claim a new unicorn in the next 12 months for a company who has no legal entity in Germany, Austria, or Switzerland. Confidence actually moderate to high, about 70%. Resolves 20th of August 2027. One thread connects all of this. Europe's scale-up gap is politically survivable because it is unmeasured, and it is unmeasured because we count companies by simply 1 address. TUM counts formation and calls it a unicorn. We count headquarters and call it not a unicorn. That's actually not an official term. Both of us are describing the same company, and between us we have said nothing true about what actually happened. What actually happened is that German public money paid for a company to come into existence. An American fund bought the compounding for $15.6 million US dollars, and German corporate money bought back at 1.2 billion. You cannot fix that, but you can absolutely count it. And for the Unicorn Atlas, that's a ruling I have to make on air. HappyRobot does not enter the Atlas as a core member. Delaware Corporation, San Francisco headquarters, no German entity located. That's our methodology, and I'm not bending it for a good story. But it does enter the Atlas under the ecosystem provenance. 4 addresses, all 4 recorded methodology stated on the page. Because a list that can only say yes or no about a company like this isn't an intelligence platform, it's a scoreboard. And scoreboards are how you lose an argument you didn't know you were having. Specifics. If I were found in Munich, Berlin or Zurich, 1. Treat the exist grant and the incubator seed as what they are, formation capital. Excellent at what it does and structurally incapable of setting ownership. Plan your Series A geography on day 1, not during Series A. 2. Write down your 4 addresses now before somebody else writes them down for you. If your incorporation address is already Delaware, stop telling a Munich story to German investors and a San Francisco story to American ones. One of them will check. 3. Notice which door actually opened for this company. An $1,800 million American broker found them through a demo posted on a Discord server. A press release from DHL did more for their credibility than any grant ever did. Distribution, not domicile. If I were an investor, 1. Read the sequence, not the round. 2. Use formation addresses as deal flow, not for national accounting. 3. Assume every institutional unicorn claim you read is unaudited until the institution publishes the denominator. Ask for the list. The request itself is diligence. One thing to take away. Europe's scale-up gap survives because it is unmeasured, and it is unmeasured because we count every company by exactly 1 address. 4 addresses: formation, incorporation, operation, claiming. Write down all 4 for your own company this week. The full written analysis with every source, the founding table, the claim ledger, and the reconstructed tomb ordinal list is on the Startuprad.io. Everything this episode is sourced there, where the evidence is thin. I've said so on the page as well as here. If this was useful, send it to one founder still operating on last cycle assumptions about where a company is from. I'm Joe Menninger. This has been Startuprad.io from Frankfurt am Main. Next Monday, the Unicorn Atlas continues with quantum systems.